Are you a man feeling insecure, not confident, or find yourself lacking the confidence needed to lead courageously in areas of life that you really care about? Are you a man willing to invest the time, the money, and the energy to become more to attract the life you want post-military? If so, stay tuned as Paul Beam, Marine Corps veteran, shares his abusive upbringing story to joining the United States Marine Corps to 10 years of self-discovery post-military and now leading other men to the promised land.
The one thing that I can remember when I was in one of my darkest moments was this. I remember just this quote came to mind, and this is my own quote, but it just came to mind. I feel like it was in a time when I was really seeking God. I was really reading the Bible. I was really listening and in tune with the Holy Spirit. Just I was like, all right, like I can't do this alone. I need help. But this quote came to mind, and it went something like this. It said, "It's not enough. It's not enough just to want to change. You actually have to change."
Are you ready for more fuel for your warrior lifestyle? Check out Alpha's 8 blends of coffee that can be shipped to your door for as little as $17 a month subscription fee. They also have wholesale options, gear, and brick and mortar locations in Utah. And it's also co-founded and led by a badass retired lieutenant colonel of 21 years, Carl Churchill, and his wife. For every order, Ambitious Vet, you place, they're going to send a cup of awesome coffee downrange to deployed troops and donate to well-run veteran charities. We all know not all of them are well-run, right? So if you're ready to have premium coffee with a cause shipped to your door, check out our affiliate link in the show notes below, or go and visit right now, alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. That's alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Taste the Alpha difference today. Welcome to another Ambitious Vet Show. My name is Chris. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran who got out and had a rough 5-year transition, only to realize that immediate tools had a shelf life for the goals that I had in mind for my future. Sound familiar? Well, on this show, I dive into the trenches with today's most ambitious, goal-oriented, and growth-minded military veterans on the planet who have grown through the transition and have battle-tested golden grenades to empower you to break through new levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and success after career stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already, grab a pen and paper. It's time to grow and advance.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We are right back inside the trenches today with Paul Beam. Paul is a proud veteran who served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 2000 to 2004. His family includes 3 sons, two stepdaughters, and his wife. Most of Paul's career has been in management and human relations. Now, in 2013, Paul decided to make some changes and finish his studies. During his course of study, Paul founded ManCamp in 2015 and would later form the True North organization in 2016. Now, in 2017, Paul graduated from Concordia University, where he obtained his BA in communications, religious education, and psychology. He has since obtained credentials in life coaching, creates and instructs courses for men, hosts a True North Man podcast, speaks on vision, identity, purpose, and life change, and is also an ordained minister. Paul's childhood and life choices have literally led him down a path where he now feels it is his duty, Ambitious Vet, to call men to a higher standard of living with purpose and intentionality. Paul, brother, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's an absolute honor, brother. I mean, from what I can just tell from the introduction that we had from a mutual friend of ours, you're just doing some really, really incredible work, man. And just having men that are kind of in the trenches of life, just trying to figure it out, find their edge again, you're really helping them do some good work, man. So it's an honor to have you on the show.
Yeah, honor to be here. Really do appreciate it. It's been an honor to serve men as I've come into my own and try to find my own way in life. It's been a long road. It hasn't been without its bumps and bruises, that's for sure. We all face adversity, so I'm no different than any other man. I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in, for sure.
Yeah, brother, that's a humble war cry right there, man. But we're excited to unpackage some of those life lessons that you learned, brother. So go ahead, tell us more about you, your background, and maybe just a habit that contributes to your everyday success in life right now.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Gladly. So my background, I basically, I mean, I'll just start from my childhood. I was raised by my mother up until by her. She raised me on her own up until I was 9 years old, and had a great childhood. Spent lots of time with extended family, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins. We were always playing. Great childhood. Nothing but good memories from that time. Of course, things shifted slightly once I turned 9 years old. My mother had met a man that she fell in love with, and from that point forward, things just kind of shifted. Her attention kind of went to more into the relationship, and then as the relationship went on, it seemed like once they got married, things started to kind of come to light. And he was just kind of rough around the edges, a little bit verbally abusive, I would say, to all of us, and a little physically abusive from time to time. But then he would have his super dark moments when he was drinking and such. And so, as a 9-year-old child, that sort of thing can really throw you for a loop when it just seems really good. It seems like you're safe. It seems like you're secure, like you're provided for and taken care of. And then all of a sudden you meet someone like this comes into your life, and you don't feel so safe anymore. You don't feel so secure. You're uncertain, very confused. I would say in a 2-year time span, there's probably people who have moved more than this, but it was enough for me. Probably moved, over 9 times in just a 2-year period.
Mm.
So anyway, just probably from 9 years old to about 16 years old, it's just rough, man. I was just like constantly wanting out of that situation. And so finally, I was 16 years old, had the opportunity to move in with a friend of mine because my parents had moved to a different school district, and I actually wanted to continue attending the school that I was at previously. And so I just asked them, I was like, man, if I could stay with a friend just so I can use their address, showing that I live in the school district, is that something that y'all would allow? And of course, they allowed that. And so pretty much 16, 17 time frame is when I moved out of their house and started just living with friends, jumping from guest bedroom to guest bedroom, apartment to apartment. There was
Mhm.
one point when I was in high school, I had my own apartment, and just a bunch of
Mhm.
teenage guys, every weekend coming over and hanging out and doing what teenage guys do that have no guidance and direction, right? And so, but then from there, I was very I was very fortunate. Once again, I stayed out of trouble, didn't really get into trouble with the laws, never died in a drunken stupor, never got a DWI, got busted drinking or doing drugs or any of that stuff. So I had a clean record, and I was able to join the Marine Corps once I graduated high school. And I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. First year and a half of that was pretty rough, just because I was a knucklehead, right? Like I didn't have anyone to teach me how to be a responsible, honorable young man. I didn't have anyone to teach me how to be a friend or a brother or uh, a, a dad or a husband. And so I was just trying to figure life out. And I think the Marine Corps was good for me because it taught me discipline, right? But in the other sense, I was still just a young kid. And so anyway, my first year in the Marine
Mm.
Corps, I was at El Paso, Texas, stationed out there at Fort Bliss.
Oh, that's so fun out there, isn't it?
Oh man, goodness gracious, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, and so let's see, my schooling for my MOS was only supposed to be 3 months long. Okay. So at this point, we had so many reservists coming through because this was right around, let's see. Um, so after I graduated boot camp, 9/11 happened. Okay. And so there were tons of reservists coming in, going through. And typically what they'll do is reservists get paid active duty pay until they are out of boot camp and all their training is completed. Once everything is completed, well, then they put them on reservist pay. And so what they'll do is they'll try to rush all these reservists through all their training so that they don't have to continue or prolong paying them active duty pay. Well, so what that meant for our class was we ended up being at this schooling for a year before we ever got to graduate. And so, as you can imagine, a bunch of Marines with nothing but time on their hand. Look, we got to eat, sleep, work out, and repeat. You know, and we had nothing but time on our hands on the weekends. Guess what? This was before they actually put a law in place that you couldn't go to war as. And so we were crossing the border, going and partying. So here I am. I'm just a little, I'm a little teenage turd still. And I was out drinking one night, had a little too much to drink, get back to the barracks, get into some business that's not even my business. It was just looking back, I'm like, why was I even in that predicament? Right? Like I got in another friend's like business with some other dude and it ended up getting a little scuffle. And so I got busted down, got my rank taken away, I think it was like 30 days of barracks restriction, 30 days of extra duty. I think I got like
or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Painting rocks, cutting grass with scissors.
Any little thing they can find, hey, these floors were just waxed yesterday, but why don't you go ahead and strip them again and then we'll wax them tomorrow. So you strip them today, we'll wax them tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. So all that stupid stuff. Right. And so anyway, my first year it just was not good. First year and a half. And I mean, literally I was 2 weeks away from being promoted when I got busted down. And so I had a bitter taste in my mouth. Blame the world, right? Blame everyone else. It's not my fault. Can't take responsibility. And so I just had a chip on my shoulder for the first year and a half. But it kind of changed. 2 years in, I had a staff sergeant that came to the fleet. He came out of the drill field. He wasn't looking at me for my past. He was just looking at me for who I was, which was what I really needed, was a new start. Because
good, man.
Yeah. When you're in the military and you get busted down, you're what's known as a shitbag, right? Like that's the bottom line, especially if it's in school and you're a lower rank. You go into the fleet, man, and you're an automatic shitbag. So I had a target on my back already. And so it was nice just having someone with fresh perspective come in that gave me another shot. And from there, I mean, I ended up, achieving the rank of sergeant before I ever got out, which is pretty good. I was able to come back
in 4 years. That's a huge accomplishment, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So I turned it around, and toward the end, things were going very well. I thought I was going to re-enlist, but they weren't quite willing to give me what I was wanting. I was wanting to go active reserves, where I would be a reservist working active duty. But for some reason, we just couldn't come to an agreement, couldn't make that work out. So whatever, I just decided to get out. And from there, I mean, so I'd actually gotten married my first year in, and then we also had our first child. And so then once I got out of the military, had our second child. And then 2 years after that, we had our third child.
Yeah.
So getting out of the Marine Corps was an experience in and of itself, because I was just trying to figure out where I fit in life, right? I was like, what am I going to be doing? What purpose am I going to serve now? I've been in the military all this time. They've been telling me what to do, where to go, what to eat, how to eat, stay fit, work out, this, that, go overseas, go on this ship, and cool. All you got to do is do what they tell you to do. And you make a paycheck, right? And you get to eat, and you get benefits. And so really the military is a simple life, and there's great benefits that come along with it. what is the pay? What is the sacrifice? Well, I mean, if you have to go to battle or something like that, there's great sacrifice that could be involved. If you go
Hmm.
overseas and you have to be separated from your family. So anyway, I just chose to get out, but from there posed its own difficulty, right? Well, what do I do? I'm not really a specialist in any area. It's not like low altitude air defense is a transitionable skill, right? It's not
Mm.
like I'm going to
Yeah.
transition to the civilian world and go shoot rockets at aircraft in the sky. We just don't do that. And so I was basically having to start all over. I was in sales. I was in welding, and then I finally ended up in leadership, in a leadership role, which is where I stayed for a number of years. But let's see, 2008 is when things really started crumbling for me in my life.
Mm.
It's where this whole idea of me not knowing who I was and not having any kind of guidance really started to come to a head.
Mm.
So I'd been with my wife for see 8 years at that point, and of course we had 3 children. And throughout that time, I was just tending to myself. I was very selfish, and I was a very promiscuous guy. And I had the bottom line is I had an addiction to
Mm.
sex, right? And I was out being promiscuous, and uh, infidelity took over, and pretty much that marriage came to an end in 2011.
Mm.
And so between
Sorry to hear that, brother.
2011, yeah, well, it happens to the best of us. What you do though with that kind of stuff is you make amends, and you grow from it, and you learn from it, and you
Yep.
try to be a better person moving forward,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
that's what I've done, man. I've made it my purpose in life to really move forward uh, as a better man, and not only a better man, but someone who really reaches out to other men, challenges them, encourages them, and equips them to be the men that they're called to be in this life, and to live with intentionality and purpose. Because that's what I didn't have, right? I didn't.
Hmm.
I didn't know how to be intentional with my life. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant to have a purpose and to serve my purpose, right? In the military, we have a purpose, right? We're serving our nation. And so all the time you're in the military, it's like you're serving a purpose. It's like people are patting you on the back. People are thanking you for your service, even if you haven't done anything. Oh, thank you for your service. Thank you for being willing to do what you're doing. And that always feels good, but you don't know why, or not many people think of why that feels so good, right?
Yeah.
Not many people think about it from the perspective of, well, this is a selfless act. This is not just about me, but it's about me serving others.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what life is all about, right?
That's good. That's true, yeah, brother. Because I remember whenever I joined the Marine Corps, it was kind of like a little bit about like your background was, had like 4 or 5 different men in and out of my life. My father left me when I was 1. Came back into my life when I was 17, and I have the story of turned me into an alcoholic, right? Because I just wanted to please my dad. I wanted to like really please him, right? I was just like, man, anything you tell me to do, I've always wanted you in my life anyway. So long story short, shit hit the fan at the end of summer. I kind of pushed him out of my life then. And then senior year of high school, I just decided, man, that, hey, I'm either going to end up in prison, I'm going to end up dead, or I'm going to end up, United States Marine. I chose the United States Marine Corps, brother. So I can definitely share and and why joining the Marine Corps, to find direction, to find a higher purpose, to kind of save your life, and so to speak, right? So to your point though, I think it's interesting, right? Because a lot of guys, like just for myself, I can speak for my example, I join out of survival, right? So when I get
Mm.
out, I don't like the pats on the ass, the pats on the back, stuff like that. I was like, man, I did it to survive. I didn't do it for pats on the ass and pats on the back, right?
Yeah,
That's going to be a hashtag somewhere, but right. But
for sure.
that's an interesting point though, brother, right? Because right then and there, you were just, man, like, why do I feel so good, right, in that moment,
Mm.
right? Because you were a guy that got out of the Marine Corps, you probably identified with being a dad, being a husband, and probably just identifying with, how do I put food on the table for these kids in my family, right? You probably didn't identify with too much after that, right? And I think there's a lot of ambitious vets, even you that may be listening to this, ambitious vet, that kind of felt like that or still feeling like that, no matter what stage of transition you're at. So brother, I'll throw this right back over to you, man. Like, tell us more about when you started asking yourself the why questions, right? The why of, why do I feel so proud when someone acknowledges me for that? How did things start shifting for you in those moments?
Yeah. So it was about 2000, more toward the end of 2012, early 2013 is when I just really started to not feel good about life, and I just started to feel the tension and the chaos of everything I'd been doing, all the decisions I'd been making, being separated from my family and my boys, and um, you know, leaving my job, trying to start a business and that failing, and then having to go, just to survive and make ends meet, go work in the oil field and be away from my boys for 2 weeks at a time, and then come back for, just a little bit at a time to see them. And over that period of time, I had a lot of time to just to myself to really start thinking through things, and I just started reading more. I remember a time when I was like, man, I need to like step up here. I need to figure some things out. And so I think I'm going to start just reading the Bible and see what that does. And so I'd read devotionals and I'd read the Bible. And I feel like during that time, that is when things started to click for me. I started to become more convicted of my actions, and I started to understand that, dang man, like I've been hurting a lot of people, and I've left this trail of devastation. And once that conviction started to really settle in, that's when I was able to say, I don't want to live like this. This is not who I ever envisioned myself being.
Mm,
Like I'm doing the exact thing that I always wanted to avoid. I'm doing the exact thing that I felt for the longest my stepfather did, which was make people feel like shit.
mm.
I'm on the only difference is I'm doing it in a different way, right? Mine is more crafty. Mine is a little bit more inconspicuous. It's not in your face and bold, right? And so,
Yeah.
but I was like, man, this is not who I envision myself being. A tender, kind, loving, caring, compassionate
Mm,
individual that people look up to, that people are inspired by, that people gain life from. So the one thing that I can remember when I was in one of my darkest moments was this. I remember just this quote came to mind, and this is my own quote, but it just came to mind. I feel like it was in a time when I was really seeking God. I was really reading the Bible. I was really listening and in tune with the Holy Spirit. I was like, all right, like I can't do this alone. I need help. But this quote came to mind, and it went something like this. It said, "It's not enough. It's not enough just to want to change. You actually have to change. And the only way that change is going to come about is when you hate the long-term consequences more than you love the short-term payoff."
mm.
And
Golden
so,
grenade, brother. That is a golden grenade.
yeah, and so that became my personal quote and motto that I just adopted, and just pertaining to the fact that we can do something in this moment right now, and it feels so good. But knowing that later down the road, next week, next month, next year, it's going to produce fruit that doesn't feel so good. Whether it's regret, whether it's a bitter relationship, whether it's hurting someone because they find something out, um, it could feel good in this moment. There can be immediate gratification, but there can also be long-term heartache, pain, and consequences from it. And so that's
So
just
good.
something that I've tried to live by.
That's good, brother. And man, that just seems like there's a lot of healing being done in that season of life. seems like you just healed from the inside out, right? Because what you brought up to my mind, and ambitious vet, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're probably looking and reflecting on like, wow, this is getting real. Well, sometimes real conversations got to happen on this show, right?
Yeah.
And this is awesome. This is authentic conversation. So I hope you're sticking with it, ambitious vet. Now, one thing that came up for me inside of what you just said, Paul, was for me, it was lust. I struggled with lust a lot when I first got out of the Marine Corps too, man. And I just remember doing stuff that was, like pornography and just stuff like that, that would lead to shame and guilt. And I would just feel like not good enough, right? And I would be around women and just feel like, oh man, like, let's be real here, right? And this is stuff that people do deal with. So if you're one of those that are listening to this right now and just like, oh, I never dealt with that, you have your own thorn in your hip. I think that was Jacob who wrestled with God for 24 hours or something like that, right? But brother, that's what came up for me, was just like, man, like once I started really being like, God, lead me throughout this lust period, right? Of shame, guilt, of just hiding this like scar behind the scenes, but like literally not hiding it, because I'd like show up in conversations with women or just family feeling guilty and ashamed of myself. So that's just some really, really good stuff, brother. So now walk us through that healing process, because I know that you went through 10 years of really self-discovery. Lead us up to the point of you, finishing your degree, but also leading up to ManCamp, right? Like, what was that idea? What was that spark?
Yeah, so I think 2013 to probably 2000, I want to say 2016 and 17 was really just a time of me finding myself, right? Figuring out who I was. Here I was a Marine. And then I was just this guy who was just trying to survive. I was, in management, I was in sales, I was welder, I was in the oil field, but none of that really filled the void, and it wasn't until I was, 2013, I was on my 2-week stint off from the oil field. I went to the gym. I was working out. We were doing a little competition, and I took off to run a sprint. And when I did, I remember it feeling like somebody had just like, so this is what we're doing. We're doing races, and we had these, those weighted rubber medicine balls that you used to work out with and stuff.
You can slam on the floor and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so we had those in like a triangular pattern, and we're on a team, and one person would have to run out, grab it, bring it back, and then next and next. And so I had started my run. It was my turn to take the ball back and set it in place. That meant there were 2 balls behind me. So I took off running. I felt this slap on the back of my leg, and I thought it was somebody behind me throwing the ball at me just to mess with me, because it felt like a weighted ball. It just shot my leg forward, and it felt like a slap. It wasn't a horrible pain or anything like that. Just real quick. And it was loud, right? And it was my Achilles tendon popping.
Ooh.
So I tore my Achilles, which meant that I was off work for the next year.
Or take you out for a while.
Yeah. And so I ended up getting a job in Beeville, Texas when I was on light duty, just as a safety guy, traveling back and forth from my hometown every week to Beeville, Texas.
There's not much in Beeville.
No, it's a crap hole, man. It's a crap hole. Oh, sorry for anyone who's from Beeville, Texas. I love it, but it was not the best of my days. So anyway, ended up getting laid off from there because I was the only guy they were paying to travel. I was the only guy they were paying hotel expenses for, food, lodging, all that. And so, of course, I was the first guy to get laid off when they had to start cutting people. And so I had a good friend here in the Austin area that actually sponsored me into a program in Dallas in 2013 before I got that job. And he was like, yeah, just come on out here. We'll help you get up on your feet and get running. And so I never did I want to be away from my sons, that far away from my sons, but it was just something that I could either go back to my hometown and I could continue in the same pattern that I was in for so many years that led to so much heartache and pain. Or I could try to start new and really
Yeah.
try to reinvent myself,
Hmm.
figure out who I was. And so from there, I knew I had been called. I'd already started taking some college courses online for, I think, pastoral ministry is what the original title was. And one thing led to another, one thing led to another. Finally, I ended up in a multidisciplinary degree studying Christian education, religious education, psychology, and communication. Um,
Good
and so,
balance. It's good
yeah,
balance.
yeah, I loved it, man. I loved it. And so I went to Concordia, and I was fortunate enough to have my GI Bill that I was still using. So they were paying for school, they were giving me a housing allowance, which really helped out. Um, and I got to go to campus every day and go to class and really just learn and uh, enjoy this experience of learning that I never enjoyed in high school, that I just fluffed off. I just cheated my way through high school. And so this was an opportunity for me to start, like I said, reinventing myself
Mm.
as a man. It was really time to start that process of change. And it was not easy. It was not easy at all. I mean, my wife and I'm on my second marriage. We've been married for 7 years now. We've been
Congrats on that.
through, thanks.
Yeah.
We've been through our own adversity. We've been through our own hardships. We've had to work through a lot of stuff, just because of even once so this is the thing. This is what people really need to hear right here is just because you decide to start changing and just because you start changing doesn't mean that it happens overnight.
Mm.
Does not mean that happens overnight. It's a
Good.
process. Sanctification and refinement are a lifelong process. It's a process that we will forever be engaged in, or that we
Yeah.
should be, because if we're not engaged in trying to become better, well then there's no neutral ground. You're either getting better or you're falling backward, and you're getting worse, for lack of better words.
Yep.
And so so anyway, there was some stuff that had bled over into our relationship that made that tough in and of itself. So we've been working through a lot of stuff the last 7 years. But anyway, all that to say this: um, the process of change has been both very laborsome, very tiresome, but very rewarding. Very rewarding. And I feel like I finally have filled that void, right? Like there was a void in my chest. There was this hole in my chest. I was like, what am I doing next?
Mm.
None of this really fits me. None of this really feels good. But I feel like I'm actually in a position now where I'm serving my true purpose. I'm doing what I've been called to do in life, and that is to help other men avoid the traps that I fell into, or help pull them out of the traps that I once was in, right? If they're currently in those. So it's my job to challenge, encourage, equip men, speak life into men, and really just help them help them to be a better man, so that their families don't have to experience heartache, so that they don't have to personally experience heartache, so they don't have to find themselves falling backward, 2 step forward and 5 step backward, right? Because that feeling sucks as well. So yeah, man, I hope that answers your question, brother.
No, it's great. And I love it. I love it. Right. And what I love about it the most is, like, I think us men can, slightly get comfortable in life sometimes, right? When we hit certain milestones, or, you know, have a couple kids, we're providing, we're keeping food on the table, but maybe there's something else that we could be improving on. There's always another mountaintop. I mean, for example, in my life right now, one of the biggest things me and my wife are continuing to improve on is working from home together, and just being able to support each other when through sickness and in health, right? We say that in our marriage vows, but we don't really, know it in the, we don't really live it through until it comes up, right? So that's another example, ambitious vet, as far as just always be looking at what that next mountaintop is. Sometimes it's not an epic jump. Sometimes you don't always look for the kung fu backflip, right? Sometimes you've got to look at the small daily disciplines that makes your life better, just like
Yeah.
Paul Bean is saying here, right? So, brother, I mean, lead us up to the moment of founding ManCamp and also True North, man, because you're doing some really impactful work. You have a huge team of men supporting you with these initiatives. You got a big upcoming event in Texas, which, Ambitious Vet, if you are here local in the Texas area, I would definitely look at registering because I think they're almost out. But lead us up to founding these endeavors, and also what's the opportunity for a male ambitious vet that's like, yeah, man, I need to, I desire more confidence. I need more courage to lead my family, or lead my team inside of my organization. Right? What's the opportunity for a male ambitious vet?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as ManCamp is concerned, 2016 and 2015 to 2017, I was attending church at essentially a mega church, and I had an opportunity to go through a discipleship program. And at the end of that discipleship program, the pastor asked, he said, we're looking for people who would like to be in a program that we have where you work your way to being on staff. And he asked all the guys, he was like, is anyone interested in that? I think I was the only guy who was like, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll see, because I feel like I'm being called to help people with their faith and spiritually and all that. And at the same time, I was over here where I had pastors and mentors and people speaking into my life. I was really growing in different areas here. But then I was over here on this college campus where I had started in one program. It was called Director of Christian Education Program. And so basically that program, essentially it was all young, young adults who were studying to go into ministry. Well, what I didn't realize initially was that most of those people who graduate from that program went into a Lutheran church to serve in the youth ministry.
Hmm.
So the Lutheran church wasn't the problem. Youth ministry was the problem because I didn't feel like I was being called to youth ministry. And so that's when I changed my degree plan for the last time. I think that was my fourth time I changed my degree plan. But anyway, so what I got, the opportunity that I ran into with that was that I was surrounded by a bunch of young men who were studying to go into ministry, and they were just burning themselves out, right? Like typical college kids, but they're also serving in the church. They're doing all these extracurricular activities. They're pouring into other people and they're burning out. And they also need encouragement, and they need mentorship, and they need help looking at different avenues and looking at life from different angles. And so here I am getting my mentorship, and here I see this opportunity to mentor people. Well, the problem with the mentorship side of it was I realized that I'm going to a mega church, and I desire to have solid dudes around me that can teach me, that can encourage me, that can help inspire me, and that I can be friends with, right? They say that when you look around, whoever you surround yourself with, that's who you become. Well, I didn't want just pansy Christian men around me, right? That were just sitting on their thumbs, just kicking back, relaxing. No, like I'm part of my identity statement is I am a strong, brave, mighty warrior of God. And I want to show that. I want to embody that. And I need other strong, brave, mighty warriors around me to help sharpen me and to help push me into that. Because guess what? Sometimes the fear comes in. Sometimes insecurities try to sneak in. Sometimes the little bitch in my mind wants to tell me that, no, you're not going to do this because it's uncomfortable. And I need somebody behind me that's willing to say, shut that little bitch up and go do it, because it's what you're meant to be doing. It's what you're supposed to do. Get out of your comfort zone. It's like you're saying a minute ago, we become comfortable. Get out of your comfort zone because that's where your growth is found. And so, all that to say this, I realized that they were doing a women's retreat every year. but they didn't have anything for men. And so I was like, all right, like I can find men's retreats on my own. And I did that. And I took some of the college guys with me to a couple of, or well, at least to one men's retreat. But then it just got kind of tiresome trying to find all these different retreats to go to and gather men who want to go. So I said, you know what? Like we had 12 acres out here in a little town called Florence, Texas. I said, I'm just going to host my own men's retreat. And so I invited a bunch of guys out. I think we had about between 12 and 15 coming and going the evening that we had it the first time. And
That's
then
a good turnout for a first time, brother.
yeah, well,
turnout.
you
Yeah.
know what's really awesome, man, is like it grew from 12 to 15 to the next one was about 35, and then the next one was about 65, and then the next one was about 85, and now this event we're going to cap it at 100 men, and we're already halfway there. I mean, we've got over half those seats already sold, right? So, um, so anyway, this I just found a void. I found a gap. I found where there was a need, and it just so happens that I had the provisions, right? I had the property. I had a little extra money at the time that I could pour into just purchasing the food and, just the little things. And then the next one, I said, all right, we're going to charge people to come out because we're going to do an all nighter. But now we're all weekend. So we have guys come out. They camp out for Friday and Saturday night.
I like those. I like those. The camps that you can go for a couple days because man, you get to see the good, bad, and ugly in men's life, right? You get to see what their habits are right when they wake up, right before they go to bed. I love that juicy time, man, of just being around other gritty warriors like you're talking about, brother. But keep going.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the beauty of it is, as we have grown, we have evolved. Right there again, just like as human beings, we evolve, and hopefully, if we're doing our doing diligence and being very intentional, we are growing, we are becoming better, and therefore, those around us are becoming better. And so it's the same with this organization. It's the same with our events. Like over the years, we have evolved so much. I mean, it's just amazing to see the growth that has been had over these last few years. So now guys come out and we walk them through a process. Like it's not just coming and hanging out. Like they walk through an actual process, and you can call it a process of identity. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But basically, at the end of the day, what it is we help guys identify their integrity gaps. So it's like, this is who I want to be, but this is who I actually am. That's the integrity gap. So how do I get from here to there? We help them create a plan, and then we give them the opportunity to engage in a community once they leave the event. And that's where, matter of fact, that's where we have a special for your guys, for the ambitious vets out there. If they want to take advantage of that, I'll hit on that in just a moment. But yeah, that's basically what happened, man. I was like, I want to inspire men. I want to encourage men. I want to empower men. I want to challenge men because we need to be challenged. So there's different parts of a man that, as I was studying psychology, as I was studying in ministry, as I was being discipled, I started taking all these things in my mind. I was like, okay, if I'm going to create this badass event that every man will want to attend, what does that look like? And so I immediately went to events. All right, what are we going to do? Right? What's going to be fun? But then I started thinking, all right, well, not just what they want, but what do they need?
Bingo. That's awesome, brother.
Yeah. And so so I said, okay, we're going to do competitions. I said, but then we're also going to we're going to invite speakers out, and we're going to have a speaker series. And then we said, all right, well, let's create this formula and walk men through a process that actually helps them like peel back the layers of the onion. That way, when they leave at the end of the weekend, they've tapped into something deeper, something they can truly walk away with and know that they can utilize in their life. And so from there, then they can tap into our True North MasterMind group, which is where every week we jump on a Zoom call, and I have guest speakers even for that. We have a topic of the month every month. The topic's different, and we have a guest speaker come on, and they walk us through that topic throughout the course of the month, and then we engage in robust discussion around that particular topic. We'll have homework assignments. We help guys continue to develop their plan, to continue to develop tactics that they can continue to implement in order to execute on that plan and achieve their goals. And so that's in our True North Mastermind. And so for the ambitious vets out there, we are going to offer one free month for anyone who wants to sign up and check it out. From there, we're also going to offer, after that first month, we're going to offer 20% discount for all of your ambitious vets out there.
Huge. Ambitious vet. If you're listening to this, and I hope you are, I hope you're staying into this real, authentic, genuine conversation. I hope you're getting healing from this conversation as well, as a man that's ambitious, out there looking in the trenches, becoming a better man every single day. I got to tell you, with what Paul Beam and his team are doing, they also just launched a podcast, 23 episodes in, 64, I think I saw 5-star ratings. They just, it's amazing, brother. That shows the need inside the marketplace of just men wanting to become more. And ambitious vet, if you're just like, hey, I want to go subscribe to that, to just kind of learn more about the message, he just interviewed Ryan Mickler from Order of Man, which is a badass episode, brother, man. It was good.
Thanks.
It was good. Yeah, it was good stuff. But yeah, I encourage you to go take advantage of this opportunity, just like Paul Beam has been talking about throughout this episode. Take advantage of opportunities. What is the risk of a 30-day trial period of going and learning from one leader that can help you become one step better in your life, right? If you don't like it in 30 days, I'm sure his team will allow you guys to kindly walk away, but I promise you, we don't have anybody on this show that does not walk what they speak. So go and check that out, ambitious vet. Paul Beam, brother, I know I promised 45 minutes. We've been going over 5 minutes extra, but it's been
all good.
Amazing. It's been amazing.
I'll take the blame for that. I was talking quite a bit, so.
Hey, it was great stuff. So I want to wrap this up with 3 golden grenades, brother, 3 wisdom bombs for an ambitious vet that's been out for 3 years, man. They're out of that immediate transitional window of life after the uniform, and they're just struggling, man, like you were, like just finding purpose, satisfaction, and fulfillment. What would be 3 golden grenades that you could drop in here, blow our minds, and then we'll send you off?
Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, golden grenade number 1 is you have to hate the long-term consequences more than you love the immediate payoff. And that's for all the stuff that you're doing that you think you can get away with. That's for all the stuff that you're doing that you know it's going to feel so good right now. That next drink, that next high, that next pill, that next sexual encounter, that next affair. The list goes on and on. But you know that down the road, your health is in jeopardy. Your heart is in jeopardy. Your family's in jeopardy. So you have to look, and you have to be willing to play the long game. And it's not easy because we are creatures who want immediate gratification. And so you have to hate, though, you have to hate that long-term consequence more than you love the short-term gain, okay? That's golden grenade number 1. Number 2 is learn to like Michael Jackson, because his song, Man in the Mirror, is the foundational component to you becoming the absolute best person that you could be. You have to look in the mirror. You have to take a long, hard look deep within. You have to ask yourself the hard questions, and you have to be willing to tell yourself the truth. And from there, you have to be willing to wrap your mind around the fact that you're not stuck, that there is opportunity for change. The change is a reality so long as you want it and you're willing to work for it. And third golden grenade is life ain't all about you. So once you get the foundational component down, figuring out who you are and how you're going to operate in this world, you got to understand that who you are and how you operate in this world is not about you. It's about edifying and uplifting those around you. That is where you're going to find true fulfillment.
Boom. Pull the stake out of the grenade, throw it into the trenches. You just blew it up. Paul Beam, brother. Well, hey, how can an ambitious vet find out more about what you guys are doing to really heal men deeply, but also help them feel just more secure, more confident, and also be leading more courageous inside the trenches of life? Where can they find out more about you guys?
Yeah. So, first thing is subscribe to our podcast, the True North Man podcast. Second thing is join our private Facebook group, which we have just really started scratching the surface on. We're trying to grow that group right now. Become a part of the community. Get in there, have some conversations, ask some questions, make some posts, share your wins, share your losses, share your struggles, whatever it is that you feel like sharing in there. Answer questions. There's guys in there who pose questions, they share thoughts, have discussions and conversations with people that are on the same path you're on. And then check out our website, true-north-ministries.com. That's where you can find all of our events. That's where you can find our MasterMind group. So our next event is April 23rd through the 25th. You want to be there. I don't care if you're not in Texas. We have guys fly in from far. We've had guys come from Kazakhstan, guys from Seattle, guys from California, guys from Alaska. Come join a group of men. They're going to be real and authentic. They drop their mask and they're willing to be authentic and engage in discussions that edify and uplift not only themselves but those around them. And then just have fun, man. We compete. We have competitions. We have fun. It's really enjoyable. You're going to make new friends. You're going to get to know dudes on a deeper level. And you're going to learn what true friendship is all about and build new camaraderie. Guess what? The military is not the only place that true brotherhood and camaraderie exist. Is it easy to establish out here on the civilian side of life? Not always. But in the environment that we create, guarantee you're going to find it. You're going to build camaraderie in 2 days' time, just like that, with men that you can be friends with for a lifetime. And then join our mastermind group, a weekly Zoom call, 1 hour out of your week to really continue to sharpen and hone your mind and just become a better person, get different perspectives on different topics in life, and then engage in discussions, whether you agree, disagree, whatever. We do that respectfully and we grow from it. So, yeah.
Perfect, brother. You've been building an empire, man. And I just acknowledge you for, having a tough childhood, to struggling for 10 years, getting out of the Marine Corps, brother, to just finding yourself and now strengthening other men to find themselves, man. I think that's worth being like a pat on the ass, a pat on the back, right? So thanks for joining the show, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Again, Ambitious Vet, if you're looking to have premium coffee shipped to your door every week, bi-weekly, 3 weeks, or maybe you're a casual coffee drinker like myself and want a 1 pound bag shipped to your door once a month, look no further than Alpha Coffee. For as little as $17 a month, you can subscribe and get blends like Smooth Operator, which is me and my wife's favorite. It's mixed with chocolate with a hazelnut aroma, full body, sourced from Brazil, Pacific Islands, and Central America. If you're saying, Chris, shut the hell up so I can go check out the fuel that I need for my warrior lifestyle, go check out alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Again, that's alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Taste the Alpha difference.